We're here today to talk about you winning your third Coin Masters tournament. Massive congratulations, 3 out of 7. How does it feel? For those that don't know, the Coin Masters is our tournament promotion that we're running on Coin Poker. Every day there's a chance to win that day's coin. If you collect all 7, you'll make it to the final table where players will be battling it out for that 6-figure career package worth $100,000. Really awesome promo. What's up, everyone? My name is Gary Blackwood, and today I am joined by fellow coin ambassador Alex Ellison, aka Lecomsi. How are you, Alex?
Great, thank you very much. I mean, I've been grinding the coin schedule, still not got the elusive Bitcoin, which is going to prove a little bit tougher, but it's going nicely so far. And yeah, nice to be in the hunt, have something to chase.
You must be very motivated to get the other 4 coins and make that final table.
Yeah, it makes it like a lot more fun, just the daily grind, to be honest, because you've got now you have on the daily tournaments, you have 4 a day where you're eligible to get the coin. So you really feel like when you go in every day that you have a chance, like one of them will turn into a deep run and like a nice little sweat every day for the coin at the final table.
It must be difficult to answer this question, but what sort of time frame do you estimate for you to grab the other 4 and make the final table?
Well, the problem is, in terms of the other 3 silver coins, I could see myself getting those within the next 2 to 3 months with how many bullets you can fire. But the Bitcoin is very tough because there's about 1,000 player field and there's only one running a week. So for that one, it's anyone's guess, but I'm hoping I can get a little bit lucky and hopefully try and get it within a year or so would be ideal.
I'm going to have to reference Patrick Leonard here and say that I guess you'll just have to never miss a Sunday.
I think I will. And Patrick Leonard has managed to win 2 Bitcoins somehow, which is absurd. But yeah.
Alex, are you enjoying the challenge so far?
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it, to be honest. It's pretty class. If you make the final table, in addition to that chance of the huge one, you also get a get 10k cash straight up, and you're getting the little trophy. So I'm looking in my room right now, and I have 2 of them already delivered to me, 2 of the coins, and they were the first trophies, physical things I've won, which I think is a really nice element to the promotion as well.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. You're going to have to make space for 4 more, I hope. What we're going to do today is break down some hands from each of your tournament wins so far. Is that right?
Yeah. So I picked out a couple hands, a few hands I just think are a little bit interesting, and then some key moments in the path to victory. Okay, so this first hand I'm going to bring you is from my first coin win, the Pengu coin. And on this occasion, I'm healing the small blind with 9-7 suited, about 35 blinds deep, and there are 17 players left. So this was going to be a pretty pinnacle hand in the run, and we have arrived to a flop of 10-8-7, which is not too bad at all. I think in this situation, something I've started doing recently is pretty important to just lead these boards. I think you have a hand which is not gonna get that much better than it is right now. When you do improve, your opponent's not going to put too much money in for you. So it's kind of a big win for this hand. If you can get a hand like King, Queen of Hearts indifferent already on the flop, then it's a pretty great outcome. So I was pretty happy to lead this board.
Okay, so we lead out for the small size, and our opponent, I assume, doesn't fold. It would be a bit of a boring hand if we just take it down right now.
It would indeed be a little bit dull. Our opponent carves out the small raise, which I found pretty scary. I find that people react to these leads in very custom ways. So when they take this small sizing, it tends to be pretty nutted, pretty polar, I'd say. Some bluffy stuff in there as well, but then when they do have value, I don't expect it to be queens really, after they go bigger. But yeah, we come to the deuce of diamonds on the turn. We got a pretty interesting decision, but because of what I said on the flop, I don't decide to go for the lead again. If it was a bit bigger, I think leading again would be kind of nice, but we go for the check and we just hope he gives us a price that we can pay on this straight. And he does go for the 9 big blinds. I'm not looking delighted about it, to be honest, but I sort of toy with the idea of going for the jam. Again, I think he's just going to have too strong a range, so we go for the call and we arrive to a very pleasing level 6 of diamonds. You're going to need to find some river cards if you want to win one of these things.
That is an absolutely beautiful river, and we'll go for a little lead again on the river. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, like to say, with our read that he's just going to have a very strong hand. People aren't great at folding very strong hands typically, and in this case, we will see that not too much our opponent can do about proceedings. He beats us into the pot with the jack minor pods, and that is a huge one. And I'll
That is a really, really nice hand. I think it's a well played hand as well, leading out on the flop. I wouldn't think there would be too much merit to check jamming the turn. I saw you slide the slider up. I think you came to the right decision. Generally, we only really want to shove if we're making a better hand fold or a worse hand call. I guess we could get called by some, king jack of diamonds, etc. But I much prefer just calling on the turn and shoving with a hand like queen jack of diamonds or something like that ourselves. So yeah, really nice hand. A little bit of luck is required to win tournaments, and certainly had some with that river card.
Okay, so in the next hand we've got the old king four offsuit. I know you're a bit more used to the 100 big blind stuff, Gazzy, but what are you doing here? What are your options? What are you thinking about?
It's a clear 3-bet, isn't it? We use the ace x king x offsuit low to 3-bet because we're polar. Is that correct?
That is correct. Well, I wouldn't say it's a pure pair. These are the ones that I think you're supposed to roll about 15% with all these kind of combos, 10, 15%. But I was in an aggressive mood, and got to remember there's the coin ICM as well of winning it. So already I was thinking about that. And so we're going to take a pretty big sizing because we can't really get in like even queens or jacks here in this distribution probably. So we're going to be very polarized to some really, really strong stuff. So we're going to go for a big size. We get called pretty quickly.
That is a
Deal. We head off to 656.
That is a big old size that you've chosen. Obviously, you know a lot more about tournaments than I do, but if I'm 100 bigs effective, that's the kind of size I'm choosing. So a little surprised to see it as big as it is, but as I say, you're the tournament guy here, so I'm going to trust your read that it's an optimal size. Talk to me about this flop. Are we loving it? Not so much? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so like tiny quick one on the size. It might be a little bit big, but I have seen that when you're in these sims, say you were both like 80 deep, but there was loads of short stacks about, then there's sims where you're 3-betting out the big blind to like 19 big blind, 20 big blinds in ICM when you only want to get in the strongest stuff because you really very want to incentivize calls. But yeah, we now come to 665 flush draw. I'm feeling okay. I think when he called me pretty quickly, his range is going to look quite like 9s through Jackie, sort of ace 10, ace jack, ace queen suited, king queen suited type hands. And I think a good way to play here often is, I was speaking with Boehner about this recently actually, is going for really small sizing on the flop and sort of monitoring pretty carefully your opponent's reaction to their seeing how they play. But yeah, we've gone for 3 blinds on the flop into 25.
Wow.
Any thoughts on this?
My thoughts are that I will stick to cash games because the sizings are terrifying to me. I have no idea what they're all about. I'm sure they make perfect sense for you tournament guys, but yeah, really small bet size here. Does our opponent have a folding range versus this size?
I mean, one of the beautiful things about using these tiny bets and perhaps a little bit more applicable to tournaments where it's the Wild West than the cash streets. But yeah, using some really small bets here again because we are for value. We have lockdown hands. We have aces, kings, and so using like a 10% sizing. It may be a little bit small. I'm definitely not saying this is certainly right. Probably exploitatively going a little bit smaller, kind of forcing people into raising their like jacks and queens type hands. If we talk about the range that we assigned him before, then we're pretty happy to see how he responds to this and go from there. So he is going to call relatively quickly, and we see the jack of clubs on the turn, which are pretty interesting card. Would you be looking to fire another bullet here, or are you done with the hand, Gazzy?
I think it's a relatively decent card to continue to barrel. I did just sort of allude to the fact that our opponent doesn't have much of a folding range. So hands like king 10 of hearts, etc., are going to call the flop. So we do block those sort of suited Broadway continues in the form of king 10 of clubs, king queen of clubs, king 9 of clubs, etc. So the king of clubs is a really nice card for us to have. And we also unblock a lot of hands like 7s, 8s, 9s, whether or not they will or they're supposed to fold on the turn. I'm not entirely sure, but it feels like the king of clubs is nice. The 4 of diamonds is nice. So we've got a sort of a nice candidate to continue to barrel here.
Yeah, nice. I like that. I think this shallow, probably 4 of diamonds, maybe a little bit more irrelevant because he's pretty unlikely to peel ace 4 of diamonds. If he is peeling that hand, then my 3-bet is losing a lot of money. But yeah, king of clubs I think is going to be like really important here because he could still have all the king queen of clubs, king 10 of clubs, and then maybe once the blue moon he goes for some traps with ace king suited kings type hands. But yeah, I just think more importantly than that, his range is still going to have all the ace queen to ace 10 suited, particularly with his quick call on the flop. We're not really considering a raise, so I'm pretty happy to do with what in the tournament streets we call the old fake suicide, and put him to test on the turn and then just shut down on all rivers was, I believe, my thought process going into this one.
So if you bet the turn here and the river's the 9 of clubs, are you following through or are you still shutting down?
Absolutely not. All following through. I'm going to be playing completely unbalanced in this spot, to be honest. The way I see it, like the small, really small flop bet into the turn, large sizing. Why I'm using this because I think the turn is going to get overfolded in a big way, and the flop will just be peeled a lot, and he'll raise up too many good hands. So I think his range is just going to be too strong to arrive at this, even though the king clubs is a good blocker. Like if you see where I'm scrolling my sizing wheel here too, I'll have at that point like a 15 big blind bet going into a pot of about 75. And okay, I don't know if you've met many people who like to fold for that price. Met too many.
That's absolutely fair. Well, let's hope it gets through on the turn then.
Fortunately, on this occasion, received the snap fold, and I'm very happy about it.
Okay, so we have pocket tens on the button. Our opponent's got around 13 big blinds. Are we mixing here? Are we pure limping, pure min raising? What's the strat?
Yeah, a lot of this is going to depend for me on it's going to depend on what's been happening in the game flow, like how I think they're going to respond to each action. But I think standard would be to limp this one. You're going to get some ISOs from hands with 2 undercards. You have a very strong hand heads up, and you're going to be limping almost your entire range, I believe.
Okay, so we go for the old limp, and our opponent.
They're going to go for the snap check.
That's a decent flop
7-6.
given they've snap checked. Would you agree or not so much?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy anytime I don't see an overcard, and you always want to see these undercards because when he snap checks, they're going to have pretty low cards, and you want them to connect a little bit, but not too much. Would be my ideal scenario here. So he's going to check. We're going to go for a little bit of a size up. I think this is. I'm not certain on this at all, to be honest, but I think it's a board that when we bet, we're going to want to bet a little bit bigger. So I do go for a bigger size on the flop, and yeah, our opponent is going to think for a little while, then make the call. And the turn is the 9 of spades. What would you do in this situation?
I would start popping champagne. I feel like I'm about to stack my opponent and win the entire tournament at this point. Definitely want to bet again and just shove every river in the deck, I guess.
Yeah, particularly heads up. I think it's going to be a very important bet. I actually used to be pretty guilty of checking back hands like this a lot, which are like good but have like equity to improve, like trying to be too sneaky. But certainly got an absolute powerhouse here. So we're just going to bet again for 3 big blinds on the turn. Again, I think is pretty normal. We probably want to still be betting hands like 7x on the turn for value. And we see the jam, and yeah, we're popping champagne. We make the call. We see Queen 9 for the top pair and 8 on the river, and the job is done. And the first coin is locked and loaded with a nice little prize of 4.4k to go with it.
Absolutely fantastic. Casual 44 buy-ins on a Tuesday. You must have been absolutely delighted. First coin. Is it kind of like you break the duck, you've got the first one and it's out the way, you know, you sort of break the duck in that sense?
Yeah, well, this one was actually the second day, I believe, of the promo running. So Bobby won the first coin, and I chatted to him a bit. He was giving me some shit about it, winning the first one. So I was very happy to answer that one nice and quickly and get off the mark in the old Pengu coin.
Has Bobby won any more since then?
Nah, he's been busy being a dad in Vegas, flying about. So yeah, been leaving him in the dust.
Okay, that's fair. We'll let him off then. We'll give him an excuse for that. That seems fair. So first coin secured, on to the second one.
Nice. So the first hand of the second run, this is in the Flocky coin, the Saturday edition. We are 15 of 37 with 35 paid. So a pretty interesting hand this one starts off. We're going to raise ace queen, going to be raising a lot, being the slightly covering stack, but risk premium high for us as well. We decided to check the flop. I think you could probably, this is probably a mix, you can probably go both ways. But I kind of felt like when I raised and he called like relatively quickly, he was just going to be all over this board. And it's important to have like some decent hands still in your check, I think, because I'm going to have a lot of stuff that's just going to give up straight away. So I didn't mind putting a better hand into my check in this instance.
Yep.
So he's going to bet, I'm going to call, and we arrive to the Jack of Clubs. And would you be thinking about leading here at all, or are you just going to check?
I don't think it makes much sense. I think given the wideness of both players' ranges, we don't have a significant shift in equity in our favor. As you say, he's going to be stabbing a lot of, like queen four of diamonds and things like that. So I personally wouldn't lead here, but I have mentioned this several times. I'm not a tournament guy. If it is a lead, you guys could let me know in the comments. But for me personally, I would just be checking in this spot.
There's probably, I would guess from seeing a few similar situations, there's probably going to be some portion of leading, because more the fact that once he's bet and you've called, you don't really have any air in your range anymore. So sometimes you get to some small leading. But I was kind of with you in general that I preferred to check. I think he kind of expects me to bet a lot of Queen X on the flop as well. So I think it's like kind of disguised to have this here. And then we arrive to the river, the 5 of spades, and we have a 2 SPR here. What would you be thinking about on the river? I've got a bit of a cheat here, given I know my customer a little bit, but yeah, you let me know your thoughts.
I would bet 70%. I've got this great rule. If in doubt, just bet 70%. And what that means is if you're not sure, just bet 70%. And this is a spot I'm not sure, so I would just bet 70%.
I think in normal instances, I would be very inclined to agree, but me and this guy have a pretty aggressive dynamic, and given that we are 2 positions away from the bubble, in this instance, I wanted to utilize this dynamic to go for a very greedy 2x pot shove on the river. I didn't think he would imagine I'd arrive in this way by check calling many Queen X, and after check on the turn, I think he's going to arrive with a bluff catcher always, and I think he's going to be very, very suspicious of a big size. It didn't feel like he was the kind of guy that was going to be scared to bust on the money bubble if he thought a story didn't make sense.
Okay. So, I mean, if you know your customer, then I love it. This game is all about exploiting your opponents as best as possible, and it seems like we've got a pretty good exploit here. So we move all in.
It's easy to say after the action, but he takes not long at all before calling the Jack 9 for 2,000, not even the lower end of the straight, and that's going to be a huge one. And I think, yeah, a pretty good example. It doesn't always work, but of how playing some exploitative poker is pretty important to running up some big stacks and giving yourself a chance in these things.
Yeah, like you say, it doesn't always work, but it feels great when it does work. And, sort of using the meta of the bubble. So in the money, or rather 1 away from the money now, and really nice pot to take us into the money here. Let's see what happens next. And I can see for our next hand, we're 3-handed. We've got the payouts on screen as well. Another $4,000 up top. Take it away.
Yeah, so just a quick reminder, if anyone doesn't know, this is the $100 Coin Masters buy, and there's also a 25 each day. So if this is a little bit outside of your price range, you can play the 25 bucker as well, and you can still win a coin that's worth exactly the same. We're going to see that, a little spoiler for the next one. But yeah, we go for limp here. Pretty interesting one with ace-6 suited. I think you could really go either way between raising this one up and limping, but I do think we just want to be v-pipping a lot of hands in general, and I think raise folding this to a jam would be a bit of a disaster. So I think when that's the case, I tend to slide it into the old limp range.
Looks good. Let's see a flop. Oh, maybe not. We get raised.
So yeah, we are gonna see a flop, and we're gonna arrive to 985, and we're gonna check again. I don't think lead would be the most unreasonable thing. I would probably lead a hand like Jack 7, Queen 7 even, where I feel like you can fold some better hands. So with this one, I think we'd rather him just stab King 3 offsuit than this outcome. So I go for the check, and our opponent is going to check it back. And we come to the Jack of clubs. We've got a little bit of a spoiler on screen about what I decide to do. But do you have any thoughts on what you would do in this position?
No, I like the check. I'd rather stab a hand like Queen 6 or King 6 that would make ace high fold, but ace 6 of clubs, I think it's a nice hand to check again.
Very nice. I'm in agreement. Yeah, I think I would be stabbing some of the hands. Also, when I think about how his range is constructed, I see a decent amount of Jack X connecting, and then I do think this is one. This guy's a competent reg. I think he's going to start delaying some stuff that we have in very, very bad shape, like worse clubs. And we're going to be in no man's land a little bit if we decide to ban. He calls on the river and it's not a club. So yeah, happy to check again. And our opponent, as you might imagine, given that this has made the video, is going to start firing, and firing for a size that means business, I would say. What do you think of this opponent sizing? Do you have any sort of inklings about what's going on?
To be honest, I'm really not sure. It's a spot I would delay to about 70%. He's gone obviously nearly pot. I'm really curious to see what you decide to do. Maybe you can talk us through why you decide to make the play you're about to make.
Yeah, so in this situation, I don't even know if I was thinking about it at the time, to be honest, but looking at it now, like 6.5 into 7 here, I think a lot of the really strong hands that he could possibly have, like you're talking like a hand like Queen 10, you're talking about 10-7, you're talking about Jack 9, Jack 8. I think a lot of these hands are gonna be betting on the flop already. So I think like when he goes for this like size up, because what I'd imagine you're saying is fairly standard, the sort of B67, 70 range. I think it does look quite bluffy, but I don't really see much reason to do anything other than call in this position. When we improve, I think he's going to have a lot of hands that decide to bluff, a lot of one club hands that decide to follow through. When we hit 7 again, I think that's one he's going to decide to bluff on. And again, I don't think we can make any of his value hands fold, so I don't see any reason to do anything other than calling.
Love
that situation.
Yeah, it looks good to me. Gonna need a little help on the river. Can we find it?
Well, maybe not help the aim we hoping for. But yeah, we get some help. Maybe not the help that we were hoping for, but we are going to see an ace on the river. Certainly not going to be... It feels like a blank kind of card to me a little bit, which sounds silly when we've hit top pair, but in the sense that we have one of the few hands that's going to make top pair. He's not going to be bluffing any ace high on the turn, really. So it's probably not quite as consequential a card as it may look on the surface. But after I don't think it was after too long a tank. Some people you see like a very, very long tank in this kind of spot. I was fairly long, but yeah, he decides to shove, and I think you'll hear in the gameplay, but I already had my mind made up in this spot, only because I think that ace jack, for example, which is his pretty significant portion of his value region, we have a good blocker to this. We have to find some calls on a river in a spot where our range is going to be in the blender with river top pair. That's all I need to really say.
Let me ask you this. If your opponent has a hand like queens or kings, would they be able to shove the river here, or would that be too thin on their part?
That's a very good point. They would be able to shove the river. My question would be whether they bet the flop or not. But yeah, if they... And I do think it's reasonable to see some checks back, so that's another important factor that, yeah, we do beat some value. So
yeah,
good point to make.
Flick it in. What you got, mate?
Flick it in, and we see
Queen 4 off.
We go up with the 10 deuce off. And I don't think this is badly played by my opponent at all. I think I'd play it in somewhat similar way, because I think a lot of chip leaders in this spot don't really put any like middling to strong hands in their limping range at all pre-flop. So I think they're really, really vulnerable to be got after. So he's probably taking this hand pure, and it's probably an ITM, not a thing at all. But I don't mind. That's not to say I don't mind it. But yeah, he has rifled it off, and fortunately, we've picked up a big one. We're going to be heads up with Ryan Victor's fellow streamer. Fun bit of information about this heads up. I tuned into Ryan Victor's stream, you know, to see if he knew anything about me, and he described me as a very special customer. He thinks I'm very, very out of line. So it's pretty good information. Tab on him going into the heads up.
That's really good.
That with me.
Also, a little more incentive for us to beat him if he's calling us a very special customer.
Yeah, it's true. I took it a little bit personally.
As would I.
He was pretty short going into the heads up already. There was a few key bluffs. Listen, if you want to check out the full thing, it is on my channel, youtube.com/Lecomsi. Get that little shameless plug in. But yeah, we are just going to skip what will be the pinnacle hand in this one. We have ace king of diamonds on the barn. It's a strong one. He's got 7 blinds, but not rushing to put the biscuits in ourselves. We still want to limp plenty of hands, even this short. So yeah, this one seems pretty natural to limp.
Yeah,
powerhouse of a hand,
of course.
And we see Ryan go for a very quick jam. We snap him off, and big cooler. He's got the ace jack of hearts. Huge sweat on the turn with the deuce of hearts. But the queen of clubs is going to come in on the river, and that is our second coin, and another 4K, another 40 buy-ins, as you put it, in the bag.
Absolutely fantastic. Big congratulations. Again, sweaty turn card, but able to hold and collect your second coin, second of 3 that we know you've collected, second out of 7 in total. The first one must feel good, but the second one must kind of feel like, okay, we've got a chance of making this final table.
Yeah, exactly that. Like up the first one, I was happy, and this one wasn't like too long after, I think. At this point, I was like one of the first couple of people to get to 2 coins. So once I picked up this one, I was pretty happy about it, pretty excited.
So we're on to the Dogecoin now. Which day of the week does that represent?
The Dogecoin represents the Monday. That is the first, yeah, the first day of the week, the first one, which Bobby managed to win. And another little fact: one of my best mates, my flatmate, who's living a few rooms away from me as we speak, he won this the previous Monday, the 25 Dogecoin edition. So again, I had a little bit of extra motivation.
That's amazing. I've also just showed myself up as an old man by calling it the Dogecoin and not the Dogecoin. But lesson learned. Thanks very much for skipping over that. Can I just quickly ask you before we move on? You gave a little spoiler earlier. The first two were $100 buy-ins. What was the buy-in for this one?
This one is the $25 buy-in. So again, yeah, $25 and a $100 buy-in, both running around 6 o'clock every day UK time. And there's another tournament that runs at 1:38 in an Asian-friendly time zone that's just dropped now, also representing a part of the promotion. We wake up with a very big hand again in the distribution where we're playing plenty of shards, plenty of raise calls. This one seems strong enough to me to go into the raise call. No need to be shoving when he's going to shove some 1/1 underhands like ace deuce suited, king 3 suited, these kind of hands. Yeah, we're going to go for the raise where we are going to be full of it a lot. And we see the quick jam. We beat him into the pot. We see the dream out. Well, it's pocket sixes. Jack, 5, deuce on the turn, fade the 6, and the 7 hit the post. But yeah, we're going to get it done.
Absolutely dream spot again. Yeah, just like the ace queen versus the ace jack. It looks standard from both players. You're on the right side of the cooler. And once again, we're heads up for all the marbles.
Absolutely. We are indeed heads up once more. 100 versus 20. And this was not going to end up being as smooth a heads up as you might have thought. As you see, we've skipped through a few hands. He's got 47, I've got 57 now. So things back very even. Ran 7s into queens for 20 bigs, and game on.
And yeah, game on, as you say, relatively even stacks. I see that we've got a6. We've raised pre-flop. We've flopped bottom pair with the backdoor nut flush draw. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think this one is just going to be good enough to bet, to be honest. But against a stand opponent, again, this is zero offense to this player, but he was on the tighter side, I would say. So I was looking to make my value region a little bit tighter than I normally would, and thinking he was not going to float as many hands, and bluffing pretty liberally against this opponent. So yeah, decided to check it back and arrive to the ace of hearts turn, where our opponent is going to check again. And now I fear our hands are tied. No real choice but to start putting some money in. I think I should probably go a bit bigger than this, to be honest. Given the kind of hands we want to get called by, I think he's always going to call a queen. And this player would probably just fold a 6, honestly, versus most sizing. So I think it'd probably be a little bit better to size up. Fun, but we do that. So thankfully, our turn size is going to keep our customer interested. And we head up to the King of Spades river. And our opponent is going to have a brief little tank and then check. So we are going to pass this one over to our local tournament professional correspondent, Gazzy B. What do you want to do sizing wise on the river?
15 big blinds is my wager on the river here. I've got 2 pair. I want to get a lot of value. I want to overbet. Yeah, 15 big blinds.
Gazzy, I absolutely love what you're selling. I'm buying it. Yeah, I think it's good. I don't think this player is going to be making like really loose calls against us, and I think he's going to be pretty static with the hands that he is going to call. So we are going to scroll up a little bit further from this point, not quite to the 15 that Gazzy's advocating for, but I do really like that. We are going to fire out for 13 big blinds, and we are going to get our opponent to think for a little bit. We've played a long time. He knows I like to fire a little bluff, even if he is on the tighter side. And yeah, ultimately, he is going to end up sticking this one in.
Let's go.
Good. His hand is marked, and that is a big turning point on this FT.
Yeah, he had momentum when he doubled up. You sort of feel like you maybe killed his momentum a little bit, which is huge at heads up. You know, you get the double up, you're flowing, you're feeling good, and then all of a sudden, your opponent is taking you to value time for 130% pot, kills your momentum, and we're in pole position now to go ahead and win this tournament.
Absolutely, yeah. This was huge for morale. In heads up, when you lose like 10, 12 pots in a row, like you just feel like you can't win a pot, you can't hit hands. So getting one and getting paid feels unbelievable. And as you'll see, proceedings have taken a turn for the better, and we have a big chip lead against our opponent now. He's got 13 blinds remaining. We've got 70. So we're hoping to not see a repeat of the earlier comeback. And raising the king jack suited, very strong hand, 14 blinds. He jams. We're going to call him off. He's got the queen 10 off. He hits a queen on the flop, but flush on the turn, setting him off. And that is the third coin locked and loaded. So yeah, delighted to get this one done. And 1.7k from a $25 buy-in, not too bad either, Gazzy.
That is a fantastic return on your investment. I just noticed something. Can we go back to the moment where we were all in the footage? I just want to quickly point something out. This is fantastic. I'm going to notice 3 celebrations all in one. We're going to get the finger wag, then the guns out, then the pointing. Let's take a little look. Finger wag, thumbs out,
they need to avoid, and there's the avoid.
25.
As coin ambassadors, we are gracious winners. But no, in all seriousness, as you say, $25 into 1,787. I want to quickly point something out. A lot of the viewers watching this right now are just thinking, won a luck box, he's won every hand, he's done X, Y, Z. You must have fired a lot of bullets with no return on your investment. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, is it?
Absolutely, yeah. Particularly after winning the first few, I have been firing pretty heavily. So do not worry. Every day where you do not see this video of this smug man up another coin, he has fired 93 bullets into the abyss and is crying into his pillow.
Very well put indeed. As we can see, you're streaming on Twitch, you're on YouTube. Tell us a little bit about your social media endeavors.
Yeah, so I predominantly making videos on YouTube, so you'll be seeing highlights of all these runs, the ones that get close. Any deep run in the Coin Masters will be shared there. I'm going to be getting back into streaming on Twitch, both under the username Lecomsi. I upload clips as well on Instagram under Lecomsi Poker. So yeah, any support, checking me out there if you're interested in the Coin Masters promotion or myself would be much appreciated.
Very nice indeed. I wish you the best when you're streaming and making YouTube videos. Alex is of course grinding the Coin Masters promotion. If you're a cash game player, we've also got 6 4-hour leaderboards per day, giving away $12,000 every single day. So whether you're a tournament player or a cash player, Coin Poker have got a promotion for you. Join the action now. My name is Gary Blackwood. Alex, thanks so much for joining me and best of luck getting those 4 final coins.
Thank you very much, Gazzy. Yeah, something for everyone over on Coin at the minute. So go check it out. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much, and we'll see you in the next one.